A very good morning, good afternoon. Um Yesterday, we have uh, welcome to this online session of semester 4 English poetry. And yesterday we have finished a poem about also a bit of introduction about James Langston Hughes. Okay, and we were trying to do the summary of I2. And before that, I think in the class we've also done something about Walt Whitman, right? And the poem was "Oh Captain, My Captain," right? So today we're going to talk about I2, the summary, where we have done a bit of introduction about Langston Hughes, right? A quick recap: Langston Hughes was a major African American poet, novelist, and playwright, best known as a leading voice of the Harlem Renaissance, a cultural movement celebrating Black life and identity in the 1920s and beyond. His poetry is known for its musical rhythm, often influenced by jazz, blues, and everyday speech. Hughes wrote about the struggles, dreams, and dignity of African Americans with powerful simplicity and emotional depth. Famous works include The Negro Speaks of Rivers, Mother to Son, Harlem, where what happens to a dream deferred, and many more. He believed that art should reflect real life, saying, I swear to the Lord, I still can't see why democracy means everybody but me. Right? That's a kind of a brief introduction, a short introduction about Langston Hughes. Next, we move on to the poem. Okay. Now, the poem, I too. It's a simple poem written in free verse. I hope you all know what free verse is. It's like you don't stick to, the poets usually don't stick to the meter or the rhyme, right? They are free to express, and it's like just a normal speech, right? They reflect their emotions in it without any sort of conditioning, without any sort of, it's a traditional method where you have to go by the strict meter and the rhyme and so on, right? And now here this, in fact, that is resonating with the voice of the African Americans. This kind of a free verse style in his poem, when he incorporates into his poem I too, it's kind of reflecting the voice of the African Americans. Now it's written in a very plain language, and it draws attention towards a very important and serious theme of racial discrimination in a developed nation like America. Now, this is a poem about a Black American who says that he is part of America too, even though he is often treated unfairly. Right now, he is pushed aside and not allowed to be seen, like being sent to eat in the kitchen when guests come, but he doesn't get angry for that. In fact, he grows stronger and believes that one day he will be treated equally and proudly. I mean, he's quite optimistic about it. And he also anticipates that he will someday sit at the table with everyone else, along with everybody. So he ends by saying that people will see how beautiful and worthy he is because he too is America. So here, the poem begins with exploitation and dishonor the Black society experiences, but it ends with hope and assertion of self esteem that Hugh sees in the near future. Now, the earnest fervor in pursuing the goal of winning equality in society is the key to the meaning of the poem. and it is marked by the poet's indomitable will. I mean, he's quite confident about it, no doubt about it, and extraordinary optimism. And here the poet is ironical. He uses a very simple situation to draw the attention of the reader to a problem that is universal. He says, they send me to eat in the kitchen, although it's an insult, right? But the speaker instead says that he jeers at their behavior, eats well, and rather grows stronger. He doesn't feel insulted being sent into the kitchen. He takes it as in a positive manner and he says, yes, of course, I can eat much more better than what I eat at the table there and become stronger. So, very soon he is going to get stronger and beautiful. A clear depiction of hope and optimism that Hughes expresses, right? And the poem has a historical implications towards Walt Whitman's poem I Hear America Singing, a kind of chorus written to celebrate American freedom. Now, it is believed that Hughes wrote I too in response to this Whitman's poem, okay, as a forceful answer. Now, apparently, the poem is satirical, driving the reader's attention towards racial segregation and the strong conviction of the speaker not willing to give in to the dictates of the white society. The speaker in the poem does not get bogged down, doesn't feel insulted. Instead, he jeers at their inhuman ways. He rather says that one day he would sit along with the white people and they would see how beautiful he is. The speaker in the poet lays strong his vehemence towards slavery while displaying self assertion and integrity. Right? So let us move on to the next slide that talks about the theme. Right. So let us quickly look into the poetic device. So the poem praises the citizen, but the praise is clearly empty and unsettling. Satire, Auden uses exaggeration and mock formality to criticize how modern societies depersonalize individuals. Then coming to allusion, the title, The Unknown Citizen, echoes the unknown soldier, suggesting that ordinary lives are sacrificed or forgotten in the same way soldiers are. Okay, then for the allusion, uh, enjambment. Okay, this is what is again a device where it there's a kind of a continuation without a pause. Okay, it goes on like moves into another um, line without a pause, without even a break, and it's kind of a flow of sentences from one line to the next without a pause, mimicking the overwhelming endless bureaucracy. Now, symbolism. So, the marble monument symbolizes how society honors people for conformity rather than individuality. Okay, so formal structure. The poem has a regular rhyme scheme, mostly, and looks orderly, reflecting the idea of a neat, organized, but lifeless society. Right. Next, we move on to the poet Maya Angelou. So, Maya Angelou, 1928 to 2014, was an American poet, memoirist, singer, dancer, and civil rights activist, best known for her series of autobiographies, starting with I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Her work explored themes of identity, racism, trauma, and resilience. Angelo's writing style combined lyrical language with powerful storytelling drawn from her own life experiences. She was a major voice in American literature and civil rights, earning numerous awards and honors, including more than 50 honorary degrees. Her poetry and prose continue to inspire readers worldwide for their honesty, strength, and beauty. And she was even awarded the very prestigious National Medal of Arts by President Bill Clinton in 2000. And in 2010, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the US, by President Barack Obama. So, this way, she's actually been awarded over 50 honorary degrees before her death. So, she demanded social justice for all. Hence, many of her poems are based on similar themes of racism and social equality. And her writing style, if you look at it, her story and typical literary content makes the poem Equality a very natural one that has received a great deal of momentum ever since it was written. It offers a compelling message that has its relevance still. So, Angelo's use of metaphor, imagery, repetition, and a notable word choice creates a remarkable impact on the reader long after the poem has been read and reread. So the poem is written as a message spoken by a single narrator addressing another figure, but is written as though the I is representative of a larger discriminated group and the you representative of the oppressor. Okay, so let us quickly look into the summary of the poem Equality. So this is a poem which where Maya Angelou speaks out against racial and social injustice. She demands true equality, not just in words but in action. So the poem expresses frustration with a society that claims to believe in fairness but continues to treat people differently based on race. Okay, Angelo uses strong rhythmic language to show determination and strength. She insists that until real change happens, not just promises, the struggle for equality will continue. The poem is a powerful call for respect, freedom, and dignity for all people. So, this in fact has a universal appeal for social coexistence. So the opening lines, if you look at it, they begin with the notion of being seen through a glass which will not shine. What does this suggest? That the speaker is oblivion and is not necessarily seen entirely or understood. But still, she makes it a point to show a bold presence. She is not acknowledged. So the phrase, the rhythm never changes, affirms the cry and hopeless situation of a larger public for a long time, and that their mastery, their masters are unwilling to listen to them. So the ownership over another person is an indication that the freedom of another individual is taken away and the exploitation continues. So here, that is what I explained, where the eye of the poem represents people who've been oppressed and sold into slavery, and You is something where, talks about the forced or the masters or the oppressors. Now, the poet uses the phrase equality and I will be free after each stanza, like a chorus, deliberating the notion of social coexistence. So, what does this repetitiveness stand for? It introduces an optimistic and idealistic element to highlight the importance of being free, of being together. So, the word choice in the poem is indicative of something specific and markedly terrible. So, in spite of the apparent display of injustice, the poet affirms that they will still live in the same place, surrounded by the same people, but if they are equals among those people, they will consider themselves liberated. So, the speaker is accused of being immoral and indecent, but the poet refers to the painful history and the shameful past that she has been forced into. So the accusation of the society through the phrase moving from one man to other reflects her struggle as a woman to survive against the dark and horrific experiences. And yet the society, instead of being empathetic, gives a deaf ear to her continuous cries. Now it is evident from the poem that Maya Angelou has survived double suppression against racism and against patriarchy. The images of blinders and paddings in the later lines of the poem are symbolic of the unheeding attitude of the masters. They do not want to acknowledge the speaker's helpless situation. So, despite the vulnerable situation, the poem ends with a strong and compelling assertion of voicing against the injustice and resonating the drum beats with the same rhythm. It's clear that this is a deeply rooted personal piece for the author to invite the reader into Angelo's own world. Okay, so let us quickly move to this is a kind of a detailed summary of the poem Equality. Next, we move the theme. Right. According to this, it's a fight for racial and social justice. So the poem speaks directly to the ongoing fight against racism, inequality, and discrimination. And next is determination and resilience. So here the speaker is quite determined and refuses to back out until real change happens. So quite determined about it. Then universal brotherhood. According to Angelo, uh, she insists on uh, the true equality. According to her, what does it mean? Recognizing that all people share the same human dignity regardless of differences. Critic of hypocrisy. This is again another theme where she criticizes societies that preach fairness but practice discrimination. Right. Let us peep into the tone of the poem, equality. So this is quite defiant and strong. So Angelo's voice is firm and demanding change and refusing to accept anything less than true equality. She's quite firm about it, steadfast about it, stern about it, hopeful and empowering. Despite the challenges, the speaker believes that justice is achievable and continues to fight for it. Now, this is what most of the poets we have seen during this period, especially the African American writers, right? They were quite hopeful. This is the same kind of a concept we've read it in I too, isn't it? So, where he was like, had that kind of a hope where he would sometimes sit along with their brotherhood, the other Americans, whites, isn't it? So, she too believes that justice is achievable and continues to fight for it. Urgent and insistent. The repeated calls to march convey a sense of relentless movement toward a better future. Like, there is a kind of a chorus, if you can see, equality and I will be free, equality and I will be free. It's kind of calls to march, convey a sense of relentless movement toward a better future. Right. Looking at the imagery. So marching imagery, which symbolizes organized collective action and the forward movement of oppressed people toward the right. Auditory imagery. Angelo uses sounds like drum beats to suggest both tribal pride and the heartbeat of the movement for justice. Now, vision of unity. She imagines a world where superficial differences like race, um, they don't blind people to their shared humanity. Right. Coming to the poetic devices, phrases like equality and I will be free are repeated to emphasize persistence and create a musical rhythm. Okay, I think you can see this equality and I will be free as in kind of a chorus on almost every after every stanza, right? So this is a kind called as a repetition, where it lays sort of emphasizes about what it is trying to say. So then coming to the metaphor, marching is used as a metaphor for the ongoing struggle for civil rights, right? Alliteration, the use of similar consonant sounds like in parch my dreams and pummel my hopes adds musicality and emotional impact. Symbolism, the drum symbolizes both the cultural roots and the heartbeat of the fight for freedom. Parallelism, sentences and phrases are structured similarly to build momentum and drive the message home. Let us look into the writing style of Angelo, Maya Angelou. So, musical and rhythmic, her poetry often flows like a song, influenced by her background in performance and music. Bold and direct, she addresses difficult subjects openly without fear. And she has been often been lauded more for its of black beauty, okay, depictions of black beauty for most of her poetry. And another thing is rich with cultural references. So Maya Angelou often draws an African American history, music, and traditions. Then emotional and empowering. Her words are crafted to inspire pride, strength, and hope, especially for marginalized communities. Simple yet powerful language. Even with straightforward words, she creates deep, lasting emotional effects. Right. Now we have moved into block 5, but I think I can stop here because we have 3 more classes in the next week. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Oh, you are there, dear? I didn't notice. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, better. So, this is the last block, and we have 3 more classes coming up. And block 5, I think it has how many units does it have? Beta? And it has 4 units, right? It talks about Canadian, it talks about Indian, it talks about Australian poetry. And okay, so I think I can just give you an introduction about the Canadian, Indian, Australian poetry, or maybe the next class, next three classes, we can finish off at a stretch. Because if I can start this introduction now, maybe we may not be able to connect with the poems and the poets of these origin in our classes. So let us take the entire block in the next coming up four classes. That would
Okay,
be,
ma'am.
yes. So Pranati. And yeah, with this, I think we are
Yes,
come to
ma'am.
an end. Yeah, I want you all to go through the text. I hope I'm very clear now. Well, uh,
Yes, ma'am.
right. So with this, I finish the session. We all can join back in the next classes, and we'll finish block 5 after that. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah. Welcome. Pranati, are you there in the meeting now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was it? I read your message as voice is not coming, ma'am. When was it? Was it for too long or was it a short period of time? What
Starting,
happened?
ma'am. Up to 10 minutes voice not came, ma'am. Just the slides are moving, ma'am.
Oh, the voice was not there up to
Yes,
10
ma'am.
minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Oh, okay. Then I'll just check my video and get back. Probably next session, I'll cover up that once again. Which
Okay, ma'am.
part of it where you missed out my voice, I will kind of explain it again.
Okay,
Fine?
ma'am. Thank you. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Okay, dear.